All right, welcome back to Channel 6 TV. Kenny Fogel here with you. Glad you could be with us tonight, and we're going to have a special guest in our studio today, the Mayor of Bardstown, the Honorable John Royalty. And John, first of all, welcome to our show today. We appreciate you being here.
Appreciate it.
And I know you come into this job 8 months ago. Obviously, you didn't come in blind. You knew what you were coming into because you've been on the city council for several years, so you had some ideas of what you wanted to do. And I'm going to say you didn't waste any time getting to it.
No, I didn't. And when you're sitting on the council and looking inside is one picture, but once you're inside sitting in that chair and then look out and see what's actually inside is totally different. It's a totally different
let's
picture.
go through the process a little bit. So, I mean, obviously, you know, you've had done some things that were difficult during the first 8 months. I mean, so you've obviously looked out there. What's the first thing you look at? You look at the budget, you look at the services, or you just have to take a look at every single thing going on and try to see what you can do best?
Well, when I first came into office, I knew what the budget was, and I knew in the last administration under Bill Shekels' administration, I was on the council then. We took the interlocal agreements and give the county notice that these interlocal agreements were coming due and were going to have to be renegotiated. Yeah. And I thought that would have been done before I had gotten or had taken office in January, and it wasn't done.
Why wasn't it done? I mean, is there any particular what delayed getting it done? Was he just waiting to the next mayor come in, or what was the reasoning?
I don't have a clue. I don't know. Maybe it's just something that he didn't want to tackle, or is it something that if I lose the race, then you just leave it for the next guy? I don't know. But all I can tell you is it was left for me to do and to deal with, and so I did.
Well, the perception I think most people see is this problem just all of a sudden just happened. All of a sudden there's a problem, negotiations happened or didn't happen, and we got to this point. So you're saying this problem's been ongoing for a while and should have probably been tackled long before you got a hold of it.
Well, actually, this problem with the corporation and the city fire department has been going on for over 20 years. I have talked to prior mayors. I've talked to long-term council members a long time ago, that this was a problem. This should have been rectified, and I think it was even more before Dr. Harry, Mayor Brock, Mayor Brown. It was all the fire department issue was going on, and its unfairness with the corporation and the city had been going on that long. And nobody had really wanted to say and sit down and look at the numbers, look at the issues, and say, I'm going to tackle this head on and we're going to get this resolved. Because sometimes it's easier to lay it over or brush it aside because the mayor's position right now is considered part-time. So it's easier to brush it off and lay it to the side and not deal with it and do your 1 or 2 hours in the morning
But you didn't want to do that.
I didn't do that. Right now, I'm averaging 65 hours a week or plus, and I'm doing pretty good. This month, I averaged $5.26 an hour.
Yeah.
So that's not bad. So, but you have the separation of the departments has already been a plus for the city. And that's who elected me, the city constituents. That's who puts me in office. That's who I look after. That's who I protect. And we've always had this issue with the fire department, like the Guthrie Drive incident. And ever since 2005, when I came on the city council, I've always said that we've needed a full-time fire department. And I think that's where we're at now, and I think the city deserves it. Now, when I was trying to negotiate this deal, I had pushed for this, and with the understanding that they would come along and we could all join in together and provide this 2448 countywide. But through that negotiation, the county or the corporation has said no to my 4 proposals and refused it. And of course the judge and the magistrates had no say in the corporation fire. The only thing is that the county allowed them to put it on their tax dues. So, and they had didn't want any part of any fire
But the split, now you said that you're already seeing it's beneficial for the city, so you think it's a good, what's happened has been good for the city so far?
It has been good. It has been good for the citizens of Bardstown because as of probably starting Friday or Sunday night, our firemen are here. We have hired the firemen. I think it's Friday or Sunday night. They're going to start, and they are going to be a full-time. We're going to be here 24/48. So when if a fire alarm goes out at 2 o'clock in the morning, we'll be out of there in less than a minute, and it don't take 14 to 20 minutes to get out. We'll be out in less than a minute.
Okay, financially, now I know it's always a deal. Anytime you deal with anything, you got to pay for it. Now, do you feel like it's paying for itself, or how's this going to affect your budget?
Well, that's going to be the next question is how will it affect it, and how will the council see to put that into effect? It did enhance our budget, and we're going to have to pay through that. Now, whether that be through occupational tax, whatever the council will decide on that, and that's going to be their decision. So.
What options do they have? I mean, obviously occupational tax. I mean, obviously there's property taxes. There's several different taxes and fees, I guess you would call it.
Well, I think in Councilman Hagan's presentation there was I think he said something that he was looking at the occupational tax, property tax, franchise tax, insurance tax, and I'm not in agreement with all of those. Yeah. I don't agree with all of those. So. But that's the options that they had that as a council that they can discuss and say, this is the options that we.
Okay, well, I talked to a gentleman today, as a matter of fact, and said, you don't think you're going to have to get into the rainy day fund or whatever you call it as much as you originally thought you might have to. So I don't know if I know that was an option. There's some money that you had set aside that you might be able to tap into. But.
Well, there was a fire truck that was on the budget for year after next, and they had to move that up, which was the big tanker truck, and I nicknamed that the tank, but it holds 2,500 gallons, and it's a nice truck. And they had that budgeted anyway, so we kind of moved it up, and that was around $680,000. And so with the added extra men, I think that was about another 500,000. So
as your
about
role,
$1,000,001.
Well, as your role as mayor, primarily, what do you see? Do you see your role as mayor as being protecting, like you said, protecting and serving, as the police officers say? I mean, does that include fire department, EMS, and all that kind of stuff?
Yes, I think it's the role of the mayor's office is to look out for the constituents, but you have to be a steward of the money, I guess you could say. But you have to look at, well, where were we 15 years ago? Here's where we're at now. Are we still at where we were 15 years ago? And if we are, we shouldn't be. We should have been ahead of that. We should be ahead of that point. And I didn't think that we were in the fire department. And that's why we progressed to that. That's why we have a full-time fire department. That's why that in this fire department I've required them to be EMTs. And it's unheard of. So, and people say, well, Mayor, you need to slow down. You need to slow down. And well, if I were part-time, I would slow down. I would just coast and keep the status quo. But I'm there full-time, and I'm not there to be status quo. I'm there to improve and enhance the lives of the citizens of Bardstown.
And you just don't think that could have been done with the corporation as the way it was? I mean,
it could have been if the corporation would have came in.
What was the main thing you needed from them? More money or more what?
Yes.
Okay. So that was basically the answer to the corporation just wasn't carrying the weight you thought they should be carrying.
They were not. No. If you go back, 12 or 15 years, when it started out as a corporation, I think our budget was $523,000. Theirs was $480,000. Let's jump ahead 12 to 15 years. Theirs is still $480,000, and ours was $1.1 million. There's no.
You see a little disparity there.
There's a little bit, yeah. How come you know?
Okay, well, let's say we the fire department, now the rec center. Now, is that basically the same equation?
Yes, and with all respect to the county judge and the magistrates, everybody can tweak their numbers with the way they want to view for the people to view. The rec department is basically the same way. For many years, the rec we've been receiving $100,000 from the county, and that's been for many years. Let's see if I have those figures here. And that's been since 1999. The county's contributed $100,000 since 1999, and we have went over that. We're probably around 580,000. But we have a swimming pool budget, which is $71,000. And you add that, so we're way above that.
So
and our Donna Pascal, which you cannot get any better recreation director than her, and Daniel and the people that help her. But the time that they spent out there took that almost that $100,000. They spent that out there just in their labor.
Well, that was my question. Basically, do you see the savings as offsetting any extra expense in your recreation now?
Yeah, absolutely. It's a savings. It's actually a savings to the city, because now we're been able to maintain what we have. We're going to cut in two more walking trails that were there but have grown up, and we're going to go back and cut those back in where people can walk, in a bike trail that I used to ride when I was policing in the police bicycle. So those are going to be cut back in, and we're maintaining our property. And when the next budget comes around, we're going to cut our own grass instead of hiring our grass to be cut out by a contractor. We're going to do our own cutting. Okay.
And then the third big issue, and I think you all settled that, you came to an agreement on the 911 dispatch center. So I think you are going to stay for right now. I mean, right. I think you're going to stay still a joint operation there on that. So. Right. So that one was sort of one you decided to stick with. But what else is going on in the city right now? I know you've got a lot of other things going on that's the hard part. And you and I talked before the show, is it's hard to explain to the public everything you're doing. And sometimes they get a different perception of things as to what they see, as to what you feel like you're doing in a positive manner.
Right. If we back up on the negotiations, people think, well, he didn't negotiate. And well, you can, as I said in the council meeting last night, I can drag this horse to the water, but I can't make him drink. And if he don't want to drink from the bucket of water, then you have to let the horse go and let him do what he has to do. So, in that aspect, it's difficult for people to see everything when it gets to he said, she said thing, and that's not good. But unfortunately, the news media is there, and they report it, and that's what it looks like. So.
Well, and many times, and I'm not going to take up for the news media, because the news media they're human like everybody else, but they don't get the whole picture sometimes. Now, they report what they see, but I guess my question is there a lot that went on behind the scenes that we don't know about?
Well, let's back up to the fire department. I started talking and negotiating with them in November the 12th, right after the election. And the corporation and the fire chief, they all knew where I wanted to go, and they all agreed at that point.
Did everybody take it seriously?
I don't know. I don't know if they took me seriously then, but I think they do now.
Well, yeah, I'd say they do now. Yeah. I'd say you've gotten their attention.
And people are like, well, everybody thinks, well, it was working fine. I don't know. You ask those 10 people on Guthrie Drive if it's working. I don't think so. And I never thought that. Never thought it was working.
So your two biggest issues on the fire department was time, obviously, response time, and paying the bills.
And paying the bills.
So those are the two issues that basically snagged the negotiations altogether.
And what the citizens of Bardstown have to realize is that at any given time during the day when we have firefighters that are working there, at 10 o'clock in the morning, if we get a fire on the backside of Woodlawn Road or out to High Grove there on 31E, when that unit left, we left the city unprotected. We had to rely on volunteers that would have to come in, and they're not coming in from the factories because the factories aren't releasing them to come in anymore. So the city was at a high risk, and I couldn't live with myself for that. So.
Okay, well, it's just I know you were elected by the people of Bardstown, city of Bardstown, but you do have some county residents that obviously upset because they feel like they're paying either fees or occupational tax. And so, what's your answer to them if somebody say, "Hey, what am I getting out of this?"
Well, the city of Bardstown is the economic engine for the whole county. We are the hub. This is where it's all happening at. And everybody comes here to work, eat, to recreation, to whatever. They come here. And we have to have the services that the people demand, even the county people, they demand these services. Because when they work at these factories, they want that electric to have their job. They want that water for when they want to drink or go to the bathroom. They want the restaurants. Mm-hmm. They want everything, but you got to pay for that somehow or another. And in the recent, I guess the statistics from the police department, I think there's 65 to 75% of the people that are stopped or ticketed, they live either outside the city or outside this county. Mm-hmm. So mm-hmm. It puts our police department at task to do things.
Well, I know last year about this time we were sitting here talking, you were running for office, and one of your biggest complaints was the dysfunction between the mayor and the city council. You said the city council didn't know a whole lot what was going on in the mayor's office. Has that been rectified? Do you pretty much keep them up to date? Is it clear what you're doing and what they need to do?
We are. I guess when I was elected, I really pushed to have these committee meetings, mm-hmm. and everybody's on these committee meetings. And of course, the rules have changed a little bit because I guess they haven't changed, we just wasn't enforced. But when I was on the council, any council member go to any committee meeting and chime in and do what they want to do. But now, under your duty under the law, which is the law, mm-hmm. you can't do that, and that has changed a little bit. And people say, "Well, you don't seem to be transparent." I've heard that from council members before. Well, you're not as transparent as you say. My door is open. If you need to come to me, and as I have told council members before, if you want to come into me or anybody in the public, come into my office. I will open these books and I will show you anything that you want. Mm-hmm. And the council members are free to come too. Now there's 3 or 4 council members that do, and they come very often. And you have the right to talk to anybody. Mm-hmm. All you got to do is come. That's transparency. But if you don't use it, I can't make you use it.
Okay. Well, basically, you've had like I said, the first 8 months have been eventful. You certainly haven't been sitting around not doing anything. But what's coming up next? I mean, I'm not saying is there a controversy coming up next, but what's on if you had a slate in front of you, what's the plans that Mayor John Royalty has for the city of Bardstown over the next 3 years or so?
Well, right now, Bardstown right now is around 12,000 people. And then in any given day, I think we double that when the workforce during the day comes here. So I like to concentrate on the streets. We still have sewer and water issues. Again, I've always believed that Simpsons Lake's not going to last forever. Mm. That when we grow, we got to be prepared for the additional in the growth. I think we have to have another water source, and I'd like to see that. We have sidewalks, and every mayor we kind of put off. We'll do a little bit here and a little bit there, and it looks nice and pretty. But are we really getting anything done? Mm-hmm. You can put lipstick and makeup on it, but it's still a pig. So you have to. I want to do more. Mm-hmm. We have streets. There's a scheduled street maintenance, and we are real far behind on our street maintenance. Mm-hmm. And people are like, well, we don't see nothing wrong with them. But if you look close, there is issues with them. Some of the streets are failing, mm-hmm. and we have to fix those. Okay.
Well, what keeps you up at night, Mayor? Is there anything basically that bothers you I know if you hear criticism, does that bother you to the point? I know you say you're not trying to make friends up there, but at the same time, you want people to like what you're doing.
Well, I want them to understand, and I've said this when I was running. You may not like what I say, and you may not like the way I say it, because I'm pretty open, but you'll always know where I stand on any issue. and that's what I'm trying to get across to people that, you know, my heart is in this city, and my heart has always been here, and I'm here to make it a better place to live. But I've got to rearrange things to get that done, and it can't be done like it's always been done. Mm-hmm. And change is hard for people, and I understand that, especially when it's been done this way for so long, and people expect, oh well, that's just the way it's been done. But you can't do it that way. Not with a corporation of almost a $50 million budget. You can't do it that way.
Okay, well, Mayor, I do appreciate you stopping in here today, and hopefully we'll get you in more often. And anytime you want to come in and speak directly to the people, that's what we're here for. So, and I know sometimes it's difficult to filter yourself through a city council meeting because not everybody shows up. They just get the synopsis from what we're able to report, so they don't hear it all. So we'd love for you to come in anytime you feel free to come in and let us know what's going on with you.
Well, I'd like to invite the public. Don't hesitate to call or come in. That's the best thing, is to come in. It is your city hall, not mine. It's your city hall. Come in and know firsthand. Don't listen to Facebook. Don't listen to all this gossip out there. Come in. I will show you the facts. I will show you where I stand and be open with you. All you got to do is come in and want to see.
All right. Well, Mayor John Royalty, Mayor of the City of Bardstown, is with us today, and I do appreciate you taking the time out, and hopefully your road ahead is smoother than it has been. Smoother than it has been. Well, thank you a lot for being here. Kenny Fogel here. We'll be back with more Community Focus on Channel 6 TV right after this.